Let's Talk with Yolanda. How you doing today? Yes, we are at Ramadan Oasis, 6600 block of Gratz Street. You know, we've been here before. We are revisiting today because today we're talking about the trauma that plagues our street, the trauma that plagues individuals. We're talking about trauma, PTSD. It's like a war zone out here, and I have some brothers here that I'm getting ready to introduce, and we're going to talk about trauma from the barbershop at Zafair Ramadan Oasis. How you doing? Before we get started, we're going to do the breathing exercise because this is a major topic. Break the ice a little bit. So, you know how it goes. On 3, you're going to breathe in and breathe out. Okay? 1, 2, 3. Breathe in and breathe out. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale and exhale. Inhale, exhale. One more. Inhale, exhale. How you doing today? Hermoso día este precioso. It is absolutely beautiful outside. It is beautiful to be here in this surrounding with all these perspectives from these strong brothers. So I'm going to get ready to introduce. We have Earl. Earl's going to share his perspective. We have Zafair over here, the owner of the barbershop. We have Aronold that's going to share his perspective. And
Sleeping Beauty.
we have Marcus
June the Barber.
and
June the Barber.
June the barber. And we have another brother over here. I'm going to...
Brother Samad.
We have Brother Samad.
Yes.
So we're going to get started. So today, let's talk about trauma. Let's get it in. It's a war zone out here. You know, I was sitting at home and the rescue squad was going by, and as they were going by, the cars of the cops were driving fast, and I was like, yo, it is like a war zone. What do you think, girl?
Well, first of all, when we talk about trauma, to me, and this is my perspective, it's just basic just basic information and how I see things that help me make decisions. And trauma for me is some adverse events that I've experienced in my lifetime that shape my perspectives on how I view people, particularly black people. There was an incident that occurred recently. Allegedly 6 people were shot and 2 was allegedly died. Those types of incidents in my environment that I also have experienced. Earlier she talked about living in a war zone. Now it's, you know, I have to look out for the police because I have traumatic experiences with the police and my life experiences. I also have to look at my people because I've experienced traumatic experiences with them as well. When I walk down the street and I see a group of black men, I automatically turn on my defenses. Mm-hmm. It's a war zone out here. Who's the enemy?
It's a war zone. It's a war zone, and you know, we have to find solutions to target the trauma. And I'm going to come back to you in 1 minute, Earl. Okay, Aronold, you know, we're talking about the trauma that plagues our streets. We're talking about trauma. You know, what is your perspective on trauma?
Well, trauma has it definitely plagues the city of Philadelphia, our communities, especially the black communities. You know, I've experienced trauma. I have PTSD from trauma. You know, I've been shot. You know, and as Earl said, when I see a group of black men, I automatically go on a defense. That shouldn't have to be. You know, but I'm living in a environment where that is the norm. I don't like it. It shouldn't have to be. You know, I wish more of us, older guys, could form some sort of group, pattern, format, whatever it may be called. You know, that we can try to talk to some of these guys. And not just the young guys, because there's guys my age that are that way too. You know, I just don't like the killing or talking to the police about a young lady that was shot down the street from me. You know, it's just in the city of Philadelphia, and not just Philadelphia, all around the country. It's getting crazy right now.
So Arnold, so we're talking, and yes, we're talking about trauma at large, but as well as talking about trauma and talking about the trauma in the city, and we're talking about the police trauma stuff. But what are we talking about with the trauma among ourselves? The trauma with our youth, the trauma where it used to be a time it was like all guys, you know, committing trauma. Now it's girls or boys. It's like no gender. It's just like trauma on top of trauma. It's like, do I go outside and sit on my porch? Do I walk down the street? And do I fear going out? So the trauma within itself, how do we combat it? How do we come up with solutions? And how are we affected by it on an everyday norm?
Well, for me, I'm not afraid to go out. What I'm afraid of is the consequences of me going out. You know, that's what I'm afraid of, what the consequences may be for me going out.
So you say...
You know, I will defend myself at all costs,
So
but with the... I don't know.
So you say with the trauma. So let me ask you this. So does the trauma come from the shooting and stuff now? Or is it that we ourselves may walk around with unresolved trauma that's never been dealt with, and it enfolds a lot of anger, talking about maybe some of these youth that's out here that's shooting and have no remorse?
It's not just unresolved trauma, it's unresolved issues.
It's unresolved issues.
You know,
Okay.
We have some youth today that are completely out of control.
Okay.
You know, and there's issues coming from childhood. You know, it doesn't this just didn't drop out of the sky. This comes from upbringing, kids raising kids. You know,
let's talk about it. Let's keep it real.
Yeah, no proper upbringing.
Okay.
You know, and that's what you see today. I see kids today. They're disrespectful. There's no respect for the elders. There's no respect for their family.
You know, I'm going to say something and interject, because when we were here doing the live last time, Zafair, do you remember when the young brother that was in here, and he talked about when there's people that go past an older person, and it used to be a time where you help them with their grocery or, you know, shovel their payment. But now it's like everybody's numb. There's no feelings or no emotions. You know, hold that thought a minute, Zafair. I'm going to come back to you. Samad. And we're going to take it over here to Samad. Samad, what are you feeling about the different trauma that goes on and that plagues our street here in the city of Philadelphia?
What I get out of it is like there's no respect, and like when you have the grandparents raising the grandkids,
talk about it.
And when you have
Keep it 100.
no respect for the elderly, like and then then you got the kids disrespecting the parents, and it don't make no sense. I know the time when I was cutting up at that age, my neighbor would whoop my behind and take me home and tell my parents what's going on, and I would still get disciplined again. But now the elders, they so scared of it because if they don't know the consequences, they figure they'll get hurt by because these they're not men out here. Or they boys. They walk around with their pants hanging off their behind. You know what I mean? And it's trifling, but they don't have a respect for nobody at all. At all. And it's really sad. It's really, really sad. It's sad,
And what kind of solutions do you suggest that could help our community as a whole or sustain our community? What do you think?
It begins at home. It begins at home. It begins in your home. If when a parent or a grandparent tries to discipline their grandchildren or their kids, the grandchildren look like they want to discipline the grandparents, and that's wrong. And that's wrong. Like I turned on the news this morning, 2 people got shot, and the first thing the newscaster said, the man is laying on the ground that the people going in his pockets robbing him.
Wow, real talk.
And that's bad. But it begins with the mayor. The mayor ain't doing nothing. He ain't doing nothing in these communities. Nothing at all. Nothing. Nothing at all.
Okay, so my Zafair.
As for me, I believe in our youth.
Yes.
We're going to never give up on them.
Yes.
The youth
We
is
hope
our future.
sometimes it changes.
Yes.
But we would never give up on our youth.
Yes.
We have to start building
Yes.
as we used to build.
Yes.
Like I have a shirt on that says Black Wall Street, let's do it again. Let's build again.
Yeah.
That's what we have to
Powerful.
do.
Powerful.
We really believe our youth have, they're intelligent. Now let's show that's intelligence. Let's show it.
So,
We can talk about it, but you got to show it.
That's right. That's right.
So let me ask you something. Hey Marcus, how you doing? Reggie, so I see you out here. I thank you so much for taking the time to tune in. This is a serious topic, and it's about how do we reverse it, because these children, if they're killing each other, it may be your child, your neighbor, your grandchild, your cousin, your friend, So, there was a time, do you guys remember when they had like the R.W. Brown and stuff like that?
All the
Community
recreation
activities.
The community
programs.
social program. Let me take you over here. We'll be back. So, what did you say about that?
We had some social programs to help us,
You have to have.
navigate that process and kind of reach that impairment, that moral impairment that we've been suffering from now. The character that we're being taught, he alluded to earlier, some of the values we've lost. Some of these institutions, R.W. Brown and other social entities, helped us kind of bridge that impairment, where we were able to be in an environment that taught us and helped us, bridge that impairment, that moral impairment, that respect for one another that we had in our communities back then. Right or wrong, we had some moral character and respect.
So we were based on the morals. I'm going to bring it back to you. And Sai. Thank you. Sai. So we're talking to you about solutions, and what do you think? Zafair. What do you think about solutions?
I think one of the things that's most important too is I want to piggyback on what Earl said. We the lack of community activities for some of our youth. You know, like you said, I believe in our youth, and I believe they are intelligent. You know, and I think there's a lot of talent and intelligence with some of our youths, but they fall by the wayside because there's nothing.
How can we bring them back in?
Well, I think we have to go back to how we used to do what we used to do back in the old days.
And what is that? Because some of these viewers that's on here may not know what we're talking about, so let's bring it in.
Well, back in the old days, you know, the old heads would get together, you know, and we would provide some sort of service.
So like
Resources.
mentoring or something like that.
Mentoring. You know, my old heads used to say, hey, young buck, look, come on, man. You know, cut that out. Cut that out. That ain't right. You know, this, that, and the other.
So,
despite what they were doing, they would correct us.
So you're saying, if I'm hearing you, you're saying that we can bring a group of young men and start a healing process
Yes.
with mentoring. And we have June. I'm going to come back to you.
Meeting them where they at.
Yeah.
And
meet 'em
okay, hold up.
exactly
What did you
where
say?
they're at.
That was
Meet
powerful.
them where
We
they're
have to
at.
meet them where they at.
Meet
and
'em
see
where-
what they want.
Yes.
Okay.
And see if we can provide or offer to them what they want.
Wow, real talk here.
Yes.
And what did you say, Arnold?
I said, meet them where they're at. You know, I mean, that's a way of getting through to them. You know,
So we're talking about basically talking to them, not talking at them.
We have to
Okay,
talk to
June,
them.
you want to come over and say something?
I also want to touch on, you know, a lot of the stuff going on today, I think it's drug related. A lot of these kids are on drugs they can't handle. Too much drugs.
And what do we do
They got
about
this Special
that?
K stuff out there. We call it Special K.
Special.
I mean, they don't know what they doing. That's a lot of
All
these kids
this
out
stuff.
there that's committing these crimes that's on it. You
So
know?
we're talking
So,
about the
A lot
drugs,
of our issues are drug related.
and a lot of the issues are
And the
drug
black
related,
community
but
needs mental
still,
health.
how, and mental health. Mental health is key. How do we combat that? You know, it used to be a time where, you know, like we talked about the different outlets, or we talked about a spiritual belief. We talked about looking up to your elders. But how do we, as a community, sustain our youth? It's like a fishing rod. Put the rod out and reel them back in, because it's never too late. It's never too late until you're no longer here on this earth. Do you guys agree?
Yes,
We
wholeheartedly.
know what we want.
Right,
We know what we want.
Yeah.
What do they want?
right.
Are we asking those kinds of questions? What do they want? And can we meet and provide them the resources that they need to get to where we want them to go?
And how do we do that?
And not only
Information and communication. We have to bridge that gap. And again, that's the only way we're going to find out what they want.
And not only that, Earl, we have a city of Philadelphia that they call the city of brotherly love. If you wholeheartedly call this city brotherly love, then some of the city officials have to step in and say, we can provide some sort of resource as well.
Okay.
You know, because, you know, these drugs didn't just come out of nowhere. You know,
Okay.
these drugs were put here for a purpose. They
Okay.
were put here for a purpose, you know, and on top of mental health,
Okay.
you know, we have a real chaotic system right now for
It's a
these
jungle. It's a jungle. It's a jungle out here.
And a lot of the rappers rap about being drug dealers, and a lot of the kids want to be rappers. So
Okay.
now they're going through this.
So
thing
they're
where
looking
they wanna
at
set an
social
image out
media.
there for themselves. You know, like one of the young rappers out here, Bottom got him. Just got shot the other day. You know, coming out of the studio. Now you're doing something so positive, but then you come out of the studio and you get your car shot up.
Wow.
And you know, this is how
Wow.
do we get out of that? You know, it's
Wow.
imagery. It's a lot of imagery. A lot of them just want that image. You want to be the tough guy on the street. Everybody's got to be a
So
tough guy.
would you say that we're talking mental health, but we're talking maybe low self-worth
Right.
or feelings of wanting to be accepted?
They gotta fit this image. If
They
you
got to
don't
fit
that
an image.
then
Well, society
you
has,
somebody that nobody respects.
society has portrayed and projected so much on our youth today
I agree.
that they feel like I have to be like this.
Yeah.
I have to do this.
Exactly.
I have to do that. You know, so society too plays a role in this. You know, I mean, this didn't just come
Like you said, our
out of
Congress-
nowhere.
our Congress-
And if we're going to do something, yes, we have to put in the footwork, but these city officials too
Exactly.
will have to say, look, we can offer these sort of resources. If
So-
they wholeheartedly want this to stop, now it makes you think, do they really want it to stop?
Or, so are you saying that we have to work collectively,
Exactly.
with the officials, all of us? It takes a village, and we all have to build that village together.
Together.
Okay. All right. Hold.
Because there's resources that we cannot access that they have.
Okay, so we have to pull together as a village, and get with our city officials and
Demand.
see how we can
Right.
come back.
Demand that this.
Don't do that. Demand, like you said,
We have to
demand.
demand this,
Yeah.
and we have a right to demand these things. This is our community. This is where we live. If we want to better it, this is what we're going to have to do. We're going to have to go to them and say, we need this.
So it's like having a rope and pulling on a rope or pulling on that rope together.
Together.
Okay, hold that thought. We're going to bring it back over here.
What I say is it takes a whole collective of people that's up higher that can get it together, because one person can't do it. It takes a whole group of people.
Well,
Yes.
even today,
Yes.
with us being at the barbershop and us collaborating together, this is a start. We're collaborating, because we care, we are concerned,
Yes.
we want to see change.
Yes.
And it starts with us. It starts with us, whether, again, it's our relative, whether it is in our community, we're all affected by it. We're all affected by it. So it's about making a difference and making a change.
I have a 14-year-old daughter, right, that she started high school this year. And then my wife asked me, well, why I don't allow her to catch the bus in the morning? I'm afraid. I'm afraid because I'm afraid, so I'd rather
The
take
trauma.
her. I'd rather take her to school myself, where I know that she's there for me to get a phone call saying, your daughter didn't make it to school today. See, I'm afraid of that,
That's the byproduct.
That's
and
real
and I'm
talk.
afraid of that, and I'm afraid of that because she's 14 years old.
That's real
And
talk.
not so
That's right.
much as you're afraid of that, but the consequences
Yes.
of what you might do.
Yes, that's right. That's right.
And
Yep.
that's the wisdom that we bring to the table.
That's right.
We have the willingness
Yes.
to help and make a difference.
Yes.
And we as
But
a
we need resources
Hold on
as
a second.
well.
Yes.
Quick.
Yes. Yes. And we need them. Yeah, go ahead, brother. Go ahead.
And we as old heads, we still have to talk to our youth. We have
Yes.
to really talk to them. We have to take a shot on them. We can't be like Ben Simmons. We got to take the shot.
That's right.
We
That's
got
right.
to take it.
right.
We can't be
That's right.
afraid. We
That's
have to
right.
talk to them.
We have to talk,
That's right.
Zafair. We have to talk
Yes.
because they're our future. And if we do not talk, we won't have a future.
right.
Okay?
Right.
This is our legacy that we're talking about. This is our future of young adults making a change, making a difference. And
Making better decisions.
There you go.
That's what we need to keep our young folks. How to make better decisions.
sorry.
Because right now it's just stuck at one decision. We already see what that is. I'm gonna make sure that person lay down. You know what I mean? Because they looked at me wrong. People
Well,
look at me wrong all my life. I mean,
let's talk about that for a second. So would you say that hidden anger
That's a part of that
that's
mental health I'm
suppressed.
talking about.
Yeah, it's definitely mental health, but
You know?
anger can come. Anger management
They
can be a
gotta make
part
better
of it.
decisions, and they gotta be taught to make better decisions.
Well, making the decisions, also the fact that there's consequences to every decision that's made, you know, and there's a trail because everyone's affected by
And
it.
I agree with him. Our officials need to step in because some of these people don't have people in their family that can do that for them and guide them through that making decisions because they doing bad themselves. You know, some people got parents that doing worse than the kids. You know.
And a lot of the young people, it's been sort of like parentified, is what I call it. In other words, they're making adult decisions when they don't have enough life experiences to
But
To make these
But let's
decisions.
talk
I
about
agree
that.
with 100%.
yeah, but let's talk about that. There are youth that's making adult decisions, but then some youth are making adult decisions because they've been handled and they've been handed that dish that they didn't ask for.
absolutely,
You know,
and
whether it was taking care of their siblings or going out to hustle to make money to help that sibling pay the bill, but these are things that wasn't by choice.
No,
It's
it was
like-
by-
It's like they went from adolescent
to
to
adult.
adult
Overnight.
overnight. So
Because
they
they
missed
never had
that
a
part of
childhood.
they
That's
missed
right.
that part of nourishment in their life
Mm-hmm.
that gave them the tools and ability to handle situations, to handle choices.
Lack of
they missed that.
nourishment. Mhm.
Because they went from adolescence to adult
Straight away.
straight away. So now they go from a child doing child things to a child doing adult things
things.
without
Adult decisions.
making proper decisions.
and not having enough life experiences for that. When we talk about resources, we talking about social resources that they can go to that can help deal with those kind of impairments that many of us grow up with. Those kind of social impairments that affect the decisions that we make. Particularly when we're 14, 15 years old, being put in that kind of parentification. Being adults, being the mother at 14, being the father at 14, whatever the case may be.
Kids
And not
raising kids,
having
like you said, Arnold.
those kinds of directions. That's what I talk about when I say social programming that they can go to where it can help bridge that impairment and help us make better decisions. A lot of it has to do with the decisions that we make as you. Again, adult decisions, not having enough life experience to fully understand the consequences of
So-
those decisions.
So what it sounds like we're also talking about development.
Absolutely.
We're talking about development, and a lot of
Mental health
our
stuff.
youth haven't even fully developed mentally.
Absolutely.
So that they can move forward to a different or in a different direction because of the fact that all of these feelings have been suppressed and they're not collaborating with the pain that they're feeling. They're just walking around with it. Do you
Once
guys
again,
agree?
It starts at home. One of the things my parents told me, charity starts at home and spread the broad.
Come on. That's
You
right.
know, so now once you, as a child, learn these things and have these tools, you can make better decisions. But when you jump from a child to an adult, you miss that important part of your life. The part of your life, the development part of your life that gives you the ability to handle things and make better decisions.
And then,
So we
you know,
missed it.
we also talk about development, and you talk about the trust versus mistrust. You talk about that fight or flight, you
Fight or
know,
flight.
and you talk about the survival that a lot of the youth feel as though I have to survive. I have
And
to
when you
take
speak
care
about
of my
survival,
family.
this is what the youth are thinking today. You know, they don't care. It's about surviving. And now it may be the wrong perception for them, of survival, but still in all, when you look at it, they're thinking, this is how I survive.
No, here's the thing. It's about survival, but if you kill somebody, that ain't about survival. That's about making a wrong decision. It's about making a wrong decision.
It's about the consequences.
And a lot of them don't want to face consequences.
And this is where they're making, this is where their perception